Ready. All right, guys. Hello, hello. I am here with Mr. Steve Tobrin and also Mr. John Braun. This is the beginning of our new mentorship coaching platform that we have been brainstorming for months. And guys, most of you who don't know me, most of you probably do know me, but I'm Courtney Lee, owner of Truman Hardwood Floor Cleaning and Refinishing, Truman Steamers, also the founder of Cleaners Connect. And guys, for over 10 years, I've had the opportunity to coach mentorship so many, especially carpet cleaners who need guidance, who need leadership, and just need someone to just motivate them to put them on the right track. Well, guys, as you know, a lot of people get into this industry every single year. And as me and Steve and John know, a lot of them don't have the right leadership. They don't have the right mentorship. They just don't have the right people to guide them. So we are in the almost at the end of the process of launching our mentorship program. And this is just going to be an introduction video of introducing Mr. Tobrin and Mr. John Braun, and just letting them give you guys some insight of what you can expect out of them, and also what we expect out of you. So I'm going to introduce first Steve Tobrin. Mr. Steve, if you can just give us a little background about yourself. How did you get into the industry? And also, how did you get into coaching? Because I will say, I've known you since I was a teenager. Once I got into
Oh, that hurts.
when I got into this industry at the age of 19, and just every time I went to John Dunn, it was just always coaching Steve Tobrin, Steve Tobrin, Steve Tobrin. And as I have met so many great people in this industry, I have just hearing, oh yeah, Steve is my coach. Steve was my coach. He coached me in my business. And first of all, I just want to say, Steve, thank you for actually believing in me and seeing my vision of what I've had. Because once you start reaching out to me years ago, you just don't understand how when certain people applaud you, you know you're doing right. And I must say, you are one of those people. When I say when the master tells you you're doing something good, you know you're doing something good. So thank you so much, because to me it's an honor just to be on this screen with you, and also be working with you with our future students. So just give us a little background about about yourself, Mr. Tobin.
Well, first of all, Courtney, thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
as my friend Jeff Cutshall says, I'm not worthy, and I'm really not. But thank you. And yes, as you alluded to, I'm deeply hurt. I've been in this industry a very long time, and it's been a wonderful industry. This is an incredible industry, the cleaning and restoration business, if you do it right. If you do it wrong, it's hell on earth. And I've done it both ways. I've done it both ways. And of course, like we were chatting before we went live here, I went into the industry the same way that I learned to ski. And of course, John was just like shaking his head. But yep, I learned to ski after I moved to Colorado, and I went out and I bought a pair of skis at a yard sale, just like I bought my first floor machine used. And then I went up to the top of the hill. I pushed off and right down that Black Diamond Run. And of course, we all can imagine how that ended. And that's how I first went into business. And Sam Walton of Walmart fame, he famously said one time, and at this time he was already a billionaire, he said, time is the only resource you can't buy more of. And I know I squandered way too much time, way too many years doing it wrong, going through hell on earth. And if I, and of course you and John, if the three of us can kind of save people time, save people the agony that at least I went through, that would be great. I went into this business to get back to your original question, way back in the mid 1970s, little janitorial service, moved to Colorado, And my main goal was just to ski full time and work as little as possible. And somehow along the way, I got distracted, built a large business, built a greater large business, running 4 truck mounts. At the time, doing about $1.5 million a year, which isn't that much for many of our listeners, except you have to remember, I did that in a total market base of 30,000 people. And I
Wow.
would challenge anybody to generate 1.5 million a year profitably in a market of 30,000 people. Some of our listeners, Courtney, have they have neighborhoods bigger than my entire market base. So, if you can survive in something like that, you're doing pretty good. So that's how I got started. Eventually, I learned I was just driving myself crazy. I realized I had to build a business that would run without me. I did that. And then I sold it and retired in 1991 with basically enough money to live the rest of my life. And I was 38 years old at the time, which, gosh, that means I haven't worked full time for close to 30 years. And
Wow.
that's a pretty good feeling. That's nice. So that's kind of how I got into the industry, Courtney. If that was my Cliff Notes version that in time honored Steve Toburin tradition wound up getting extended.
Wow. All right, John. And what about you, John? How did you get into the business?
Well, in college, I'd worked with somebody that I knew that said, "Hey, you want a job cleaning carpet?" Okay, so I did that. Kind of learned the industry a little bit, but the guy was a splash and dash, bait and switch, right? So I didn't really learn anything cleaning up with a portable, and other than the fact that if he could do this, I could do this. I like to kind of apply that sometimes with whenever I'm starting to do anything, ski, right? Marketing, any business that I've started. If somebody else can do that, I can learn how to do it. What do I need to do? Do your homework and learn it. So I decided to start my own business. I was majoring in advertising in college and reading books about business, and then I was really catching the entrepreneurial bug. I'd kind of always had it, deep down inside. I think all of us that have a business have had it, right? Maybe when they were little, maybe whenever. I used to do like restaurants in my garage and invite neighborhood kids over in elementary and middle school, right? And do crazy stuff like that, whatever I could do to make money. So I started a carpet cleaning business when I was in college just to practice advertising. One day I wanted to start my own ad agency, and then finally I eventually started Hitman Advertising. But I started my carpet cleaning company and built it up to be one of the most well-known brands in the city, the highest priced brand, definitely for carpet cleaning. Maybe me and one other company were about the highest priced. And yeah, I just started making more money than I thought I would make ever and just kept doing the carpet cleaning business for a while. And I eventually did sell it about 5 years ago. But yeah, that's kind of the quick end of the story. But love the industry. And right now, I love helping cleaning restoration companies. They're great people, great, just hardworking people.
Awesome. Well, just to give you guys a little bit about my background, how did I get into the carpet cleaning industry? At the age of 18, I tried to follow my dad's footsteps. My dad always worked in like industrial plants. So I worked for 2 industrial plants, and the first one I worked at, it was called HC Brill in Tucker, Georgia. And what they used to do was create icing for cakes and donuts. And here it is, I'm this 18-year-old kid, and I would just sit here in this forklift would bring me pallets of 5-gallon buckets, and I would just sit there all day taking these 5-gallon buckets, putting them on this conveyor belt all day long, 8 hours. And I, young, 18 years old, I got fired from that job. So I went and got another job that was almost identical, but the only difference was the place was dark and gloomy. It smelled like burning metal because they used to weld golf cart wheels together. And after they weld those wheels together and they cool them down, they will bring them to me. And here it is. I'm this 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, and I'm in this back of this warehouse, like in this corner by myself all day. And I would take these rims and I would put them on these hooks to go through the washer, and I would do that all day. And I used to just pray. I said, God, I know I haven't been the best person, but there got to be something better than this. I cannot see this. I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So, long story short, I picked up and this just lets you know how older I am. This is back when you can find a job in the newspaper. So I picked up the newspaper on a Sunday, never forget, and I opened up the newspaper and I went strictly to the job section. And I never forget this ad, and the exact words was hard work, high pay. I said, well, I'm a hard worker and I definitely want high pay. I called this number. They told me to come in like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I went in and it was a bait and switch carpet cleaning company. Now, at the time, guys, I never knew carpet cleaning was even a service because, we grew up where we didn't have, my mom and dad didn't, hire carpet cleaners, So I never even knew it was a service, but immediately I fell in love with the opportunity because why? I didn't have to sit in one place all day. I've always been a people's person. I've always liked to engage with people, talk to people, learn people, and that's what one thing that this industry gave me. And I started 19, and then after that, I worked for like about 8 other companies, and they was back then in the Atlanta market. Multi truck was just dominating, but now there's really no multi truck operations left except like the big name brands. And at the age of 28, I started my own business. Like John said, I had no coaching. I had no business coaching. I had no marketing. I had no plan. All I had, what I was taught, I had money to buy a tool. And I used to go put out these road signs with these cheap prices on it. And guys, for 5 years, I did that. And I came to what I call my rock bottom moment. And I never forget this day, man. It was on a Saturday. Me and my wife and kids went to Popeye's Fried Chicken. And John, you probably heard my story before.
Yeah.
And I never forget, I gave that lady my debit card. And we had just left Target. And I knew I didn't have a lot of money in the bank. And I didn't think Target was going to take that money that day because it was a weekend. And we went to Popeye's Fried Chicken. And this is probably about 12 years ago. That's what I call my rock bottom moment. I gave that lady at the cash register my card. She gave it back and said, unfortunately, your card was declined. And that was just my lowest point. I said, you know what? If I can't afford to buy my family a $20 box of chicken, Courtney, what are you doing? And I had that mindset back then where I thought hard work pays off. And that's when I realized hard work does not pay off. You have to think smart. Hard work does has its place, but it's not the only answer. And that's when I call, that's after that day, guys. I went into man, I'll tell you guys, I went in the closet that night and I cried. I mean, I cried like a baby. And after me crying so much, I couldn't cry no more. That's when I made the decision that enough was enough. And it was time for me to call my revamp moment. And I revamped, and with the grace of God and just educating and then just really just building myself up one day at a time, valuing mentorship, reaching out to coaches, taking classes, it has just put me in such a great position where I just would not replace it for the world. So that's how I got into the carpet cleaning business.
Kudos to you. And
Thank you.
kudos to you too, John.
Yes. I think everybody has to have that rock bottom moment. I don't know if you had one, Steve, but
Oh yeah.
I
I had
definitely had
many,
one. You had
many.
many. I know mine was whenever I worked my first full-time year and I did my taxes and the accountant's like, okay, you profited $19,000. I was like, what? I invested all this money. I busted my butt. I'm a really good carpet cleaner. I'm working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week and $19,000. And at that point I said to myself, I might have, I don't know if I doubled my prices, but I greatly increased them, maybe close to doubled. I said, and if this doesn't work this next year, I'm done. I got to make this work. Right. So did you have a rock bottom? What was your first big aha rock bottom moment, Steve?
Yeah, Steve.
Oh, guys. I think I always instinctively did good on, what I call looking through the eyes of the customer, building relationships. But my rock bottom moment was my employees. Because, uh, all of us, eventually you're going to hit in this industry what I call the barber's quandary. You start out a barber shop you're really good. You're good at talking with people. You're good at cutting hair. And pretty soon you're book solid. So then your family, your friends say, well, hire more barbers. And that's when everything falls apart. And it fell apart with me. Uh, Everything fell apart. And so I went back to square one. I fired everybody. And then I started over again, planning, thinking, researching, getting coaches, Courtney, you're right. And that's when I was able to build what I call a critical mass business that will run with you or run without you. So that was my employees took me to rock bottom. Somehow I've always made money. Haven't always kept it, but I've always been able to make it.
Nice. So we also everybody has a story. Well, that's great, guys. So the next question, and I will, of course, will let it come back around to me. Why? How did you get into coaching?
Is that me? How
Yes,
come
sir.
I always have to go first? That's not fair. Okay. Um, all right, I sold my business in 1991, took a couple years off, was hanging out, worked as a whitewater raft guide, uh, tried to get my wife organized around the house. That did not work well. And then somebody called me, a carpet cleaner called me, and I'd started writing articles for the old Clean Facts when John Downey was running it and just putting out my thoughts. I always liked to write, and then he asked me to come up and teach a course to his employees, and I go, okay, just like I learned to ski, and I went up there. I think it was up in Wyoming, and I liked it. I and people told me I was good at it. So that's kind of how I got started. And in the meantime, wound up taking my family to the Dominican Republic to do full-time volunteer work that was supposed to be for 1 year, stretched to 13. And after I'd been in the Dominican Republic for a few months, a little company called John Don called me. And they said, we hear you know how to teach seminars. And I go, and they say, I always say, never let them see you sweat. So I go, that's right. And they said, we want you to come up and teach a seminar one day. So I did it. And then at the end of it, Nick and John, the two owners, called me in and they said, what would it take for you to develop a program that would coach our customers to be more than just carpet cleaners, but to know how to build a business? And so I went ahead and did it. And we put over 6,000 students through what came to be called Strategies for Success. And it was a great opportunity. And then the pandemic hit. So we're kind of morphing all that around. But I learned that I really enjoyed just interacting with people.
Nice. Awesome, Steve. Now, so yes, I will say you are the face of Strategy for Success. Ever since I got into this business, I used to always see Strategy for Success, Steve Toberin, and even some of my good colleagues have spoke very highly of you. Kevin Bunce, who's in Washington State, who has a huge multi-truck business. One of my good friends here is actually one of my students, Med Perkins.
Oh, yeah.
Citrus Solution,
Hey.
yeah. One of my partners, just like John, Cameron's Maysville out of Omaha, Nebraska. So I just want to say, man, just to hear, those type of individuals speak so highly of another individual like yourself, it just makes me just feel just amazing to sit here and be working side by side with you so we can continue the future of helping and mentoring and just saving as many entrepreneurs as possible. But like you said, I love that saying and I wrote it down. They got to put some skin in the game, but we're going to talk about that later. So John, what about you? How did you get into coaching?
Sure. Well, I had my cleaning business and started building that up to about 3 trucks, doing really well. And I started joining programs like Howard Partridge's Roundtable, and I was even part of Piranha Marketing's programs for a while. And I would go to those places and just kind of unite. Well, if you've got advertising you're proud of, you bring it, you show everybody, right? So I'd start showing everybody my stuff, and they'd go, "Wow, that's great. Can I use that?" Oh, okay. And then when the internet, because actually I started my business when the internet was really starting to get popular. So I started showing people like my website and how to do SEO. I was one of the first guys in the industry to really talk about SEO, right? And so they were like, "What do you mean, Google? And how do I do that?" And so I'd start talking about that. "Well, can you design me a website?" "Okay, yeah, whatever." So I'd start charging people to do this. I'd start getting asked to speak. Before I ever started Hitman Advertising, I started getting asked to speak at Howard Partridge's events. Bridgepoint back then used Interlink now, but I talked at some of their events. I organized on the old ICS bulletin board. I organized a Winter Fest, kind of like a festival, kind of like they have the gathering, and just talking to different guys, and guys would ask me. So I was like, my initial goal was to start an advertising agency. I think I'll just go ahead and do that. I'm already doing this a little bit, kind of on the side. I think I'll go ahead and start doing that. That's when I started Hitman Advertising, and it's been great. I was able to build that up while I had my cleaning company, and then eventually sell my cleaning company, and that's all I do now. But I love teaching. I'm a teacher, and so I've taught people skiing. I've just taught about 15, at least 20 people how to ski. And just it's I love doing that. I mean, anything that I know how to do and have a passion for, I love doing it. I love teaching marketing. It's just something I
Could
like to
you
do.
teach me how to ski? I would love
Yes, I
to learn.
can. Come on down. Come on down to northern Colorado. Well, that's
Because
Okay,
both of you
I'll
guys,
come on. I'll come on
up.
over.
both of you guys are in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
He's
How
in
in the
far are you
southern.
little.
guys
I'm in
from each
northern.
other?
Yeah. What's that, Courtney?
About how many hours are you guys from each other?
We're about 7 hours driving.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, to answer that question for myself, how did I get into coaching? Just like you guys, it was something I never looked for. And you know that saying, sometimes you can find opportunity or opportunity can find you. And I never forget my first guy that reached out to me after I revamped myself. And what I started doing, just like John, I started taking advantage of YouTube. Because when I revamped my business, I said, "Courtney, this is the time where we need to start thinking outside the box." So I started researching and studying, my locals' websites, and I noticed that everybody was saying the same thing. Like everybody has the same content. "Oh, we do a good job. We use safe products. We use the best truck mounts, and we're all certified, licensed, insured, and bonded." But I said, what is something of things that they're not doing? And when I looked at their website, very few of them was even using before after pictures. Nobody was using videos. And the guy at the time, when we first moved out here, my daughter is 16. She was about 3, so about 13 years ago. The guy at the carpet cleaner at the time who had the most reviews in the area only had 7 reviews. 7. I said, "Courtney, if you get 10, you're already ahead of him." So I started taking advantage of YouTube. Well, what YouTube did, it created opportunity for me to become the person I am now, because a lot of cleaners start reaching out to me, and they was asking me for all this advice. And again, like you said, John, I just love helping. And one day, Jonathan, he's a cleaner. He still cleans, and he's in California. He called me one day. He said, "Courtney, how much would you charge me for a consultation just to talk to you for an hour or two?" I said, "Charge?" And I was like, it was the first time someone asked me that. I said, "I don't know, $100." He was like, "Okay, well, how do I pay you?" So he was the first one, and then I started doing consulting, which I still do some here and there. And then about 2 years later, another colleague, well, he's a colleague, but he was wanted to get into the industry, and he reached out to me. His name was Josh Labar, and he was in Florida. And he reached out to me. He said, "Courtney, I watch a lot of people on YouTube, but it's something about you that I just want to learn from." And he said, "I really want to get into the carpet cleaning industry, and I got some, nice, capital, and I've taken some of these classes, but they're just more staged. I need something real. How much should you charge me to come out and piggyback off of you, for a few days?" And I said, "Piggyback?" And I brushed them off because I think I was working at the time. So I said, "Well, Josh, I don't know. I've never done nothing like this before, but let me call you back." So about 3 days go by, he calls me back. He said, "Hey, Courtney, this is Josh again. I was thinking, did you come up with what we can do for the piggyback ride along?" And I said, "Josh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know who you are. I have never done nothing like this, and you just coming to ride with me. I just don't know what to start." He said, "Well, Courtney, just to show you I'm serious, this is what he said. I'm going to send you a copy of my ID and a copy of my bank statement." And he did that with a screenshot, and he sent it to me. And at the time, guys, I have never seen that much money in a bank account with my own eyes. And like they say, money talks. I said, "Whoa, this guy's serious." So I called him back, after he sent me that. And I said, "Well, what are you trying to do?" He said, "Well, Courtney, I want to get into the carpet cleaning industry, but I just want someone who can teach me the right way, but I want to go on real jobs." I said, "So something like a ride along?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, how many days do you want to come for?" He said, "Well, Courtney, 3 days." I said, "Okay." I said, "Josh, well, okay, just give me 2 grand." He said, "Okay, how do I send the money?" So that's how I started doing ride alongs. And next thing you know, I did a YouTube video about me and Josh's experience. And I had people reaching out to me to come out and do ride alongs. And then next thing you know, I even had companies sending some of their technicians out with me because they wanted them not only to learn just about the cleaning aspect, but the customer support, how you treat a customer, how you handle a customer, how do you handle a problem. And those are the things that I have realize sometimes is more important than just the actual cleaning. So there was another opportunity, and then as you guys know, 4 years ago I got burnt out with carpet cleaning, so I took my hardwood floor maintenance, made it a whole nother service. And one of my Cleaners Connect members, Brian from Virginia, asked me to start a private group teaching people how to do wood floors. So that's how I started teaching people how to do wood floors. So right now I got a private group with about 260 plus members in it. I actually had a guy join yesterday from Montana after following me on YouTube and Cleaners Connect. And of course, last year was just a highlight of my career because the opportunities with me and Cameron Maysville. Cameron reached out to me last year about this time and said, "Courtney, I got this great idea. How about me and you can come together and do a rug cleaning, hardwood floor cleaning class?" Because they go hand in hand. Because a lot of times when we pick up rugs, we're picking them up off of wood floors. And I said, "Man, that's a great idea." So that's how me and Cam, and then I actually asked John about it. And I said, "John, would you like to come in and merge in with us with your marketing expertise?" So John actually came out, both times. We did it 2 times last year, and just great events. And then also shout out to Sean Bishion. He's the IRCRC instructor. He reached out to me last year to do a 2-day presentation at the experience. So all these opportunities, guys, of me getting into coaching, and I just call just helping people, just came from opportunities, just people finding me from social media and just presenting me with these amazing opportunities.
Kudos to you, Courtney.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Indeed. Indeed.
All right, guys. So next question is and I think this would be a good one for you, Steve, because you've been
Oh,
why do you think coaching and mentorship is important?
well, gosh, I need a job. No, just kidding. I don't. The very last thing I need a job. If anything, I'm trying to get away from that.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
why? It's very simple. It's the A word, accountability. Um, and we all talk, especially as we grow our business and we start hiring employees, and we start talking about how we need to hold our employees accountable. Well, you know who the biggest slacker, the biggest loose cannon in any small carpet or restoration company is the owner. And they're the ones that should be held accountable, and nobody is. So, what coaching will do is, if only because you've got skin in the game, you've got money, you've got to show up at a certain time, and oh my gosh, John assigned me homework, or Courtney's going to ask me what I've done in the last 30 days. I better start doing something. And I think that's the biggest thing that does. And also the fact that, once again, what's the value of time? If I can cut the time required through systems and procedures and give them to you in Microsoft Word, so I give you the template for whatever it might be. It might be onboarding an employee, a technician, or it might be the home front stage play of what the technician should do at the front door. Well, I can save you, or John, you can save, all of us can save literally hundreds of hours of work. And my gosh, how can you put a price tag on that? So accountability and time savings. That's what I say coaching, training will do for you, Courtney.
Yes, it will, and I'm proof of that on both ends. Of I can't tell you how many guys I have coached and mentored in different aspects of their business. If it's just like you said, just general carpet cleaning, or just customer service, or even my hardwood floors. To see some of my guys, that the years it took me to make these costly mistakes and see these guys prospering, and I'm talking about a quarter of the time that it took me. And like you said, Steve, accountability is so important. I think that's why I'm gonna really enjoy this program. It's because I have joined a lot of coaching programs, and it's like, like we talked last week, the information is good, but they will take 6 months or a year of content and give it to you in 3 to 5 days. And then when the program is over, you have no one to hold you accountable. You have nowhere there to lean on. The students are gone that you was there with. No matter if it was in person or computer, the teacher is gone. So you're stuck there with all this information, and what happened is, this is why a lot of people quit, because they don't have someone that, like you said, hey guys, we're going to cover this 2 more weeks. We're going to go over this, see what you learned, and if you didn't learn, if you need help, how we can continue to help you. And this is why this program is going to be a continuous program, so when they're ready to stop, they can stop. And that is so important. What about you, John?
Well, I absolutely reflect everything you guys said. Accountability and time savings. But another important thing that I've learned is I learned this from one of my coaches, right? Money loves speed, right? What's the quickest way to get more money in a more systemized business? To have somebody coach you who's done it before, right? So that's huge. And I've used coaches. I have coaches right now.
Me
And
too.
I've been part of programs that have cost me $12,000 a year, to go in and be, Dan Kennedy, if you've ever heard of him in the marketing
Yes.
world. Ray Edwards, he's actually one of my coaches right now for copywriting and advertising. But I'm consistently, part of a coaching program of some sort ever since I pretty much started my cleaning business, and it's always helped me all the time. It's always helped me. Sometimes the goal is to make more money. Sometimes the goal is to make more money efficiently. Sometimes the goal is to take a little bit more time off to do the things that you want to do, right? It depends on what stage that you're in. But all of those things are what coaching can accomplish. So that's why I love coaching. That's why I do coaching. That's why I get coaches and hire coaches.
Last year, I totaled up. I told a few guys this. Last year, I spent $9,000 on coaching. One of them I'm still doing, because it's a commitment. You have to commit to it. But the guy, I followed him. I took a few of his basic courses, and I really liked him. I really liked what he was teaching and coaching. So I said, if I'm liking this already, and especially already liking his free content, and then I start paying for his $300 course. Then I bought like an $800 course. Now I'm paying. He has a course. It's like $4,000, and you just pay it in like 2 payments. And it's for like 6 months. Like you said, John, it's just like, one thing that I learned is, you guys probably read, and if anybody has not read this book, Think and Grow Rich, Chapter 5, Specialized Knowledge. That is one of the best chapters of that book, because that's what it teaches, and that's what it talks about. Is, like Steve said, you got to have some skin in the game, okay? And when people who pay for knowledge and who pay for education, they value it more. And I never understood that. And now when I look back on my own journey and I said, Courtney, remember you used to always try to look for everything free, and you didn't truly value education, you didn't truly value people's time. Look what that got you. 5 years of just failure till you almost went crazy, But when you start valuing people's time, but see, this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's also that part that we don't see how it works is when you are a giver, you receive. You see what I'm saying? When you are a person who's always, what I call, my buddy Chandler Thompson said, he said, they're takers. They're people who's always looking for something for nothing. Those are the people who tend to not reach their true potential because they don't, like Steve said, they don't want to put any skin in the game. They want everything to be handed to them. And also with my experience, when you deal with those type of people, those are the people, don't you know, it's funny that when I start charging people for my time and my expertise, I look at my hardwood group, right? I say I got 260 plus members in this group, and I got everything laid out from them. They can call me anytime they need to. And I'm thinking with all these members in this group, they're going to be calling me all the time. They're going to be ringing my phone all the time. But don't you know, I rarely hear from any of my students. And I say, why? Because they say, Courtney, we value your time. And I'm thinking to myself, you paid me for my time, but they also value my time. I have some of my students call me and say, Coach, I know you're busy. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I got a question. But it's like the people that don't value your time and they don't want to put any skin in the game, those are the people who always expect something. I mean, I literally have had guys get mad at me and cuss me out. You never answer my question when I call you. I'm like, dude, so that is so important. Why I
You're
think
talking about guys that are not members, right? And not
yes,
guys that aren't. Yeah, exactly,
yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're preaching to the choir, Courtney.
Yeah, yeah.
And me and Cam was actually talking about that a couple weeks ago, Cam Maysville, and he was saying the same. He said, Courtney, I got a coaching group, and that's why I did it, because these guys will call you out of nowhere. They'll call you 10 o'clock. They just don't value your time. They'll call you 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock in the morning. They want to stay on the phone with you for hours, and you just have to get to a point where you have to separate that. And like you said, when you understand that and especially you experience that, it puts you in a different mind frame of who you should not be dealing with.
A quick story about probably, I don't know, 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago. The guy, I think the guy's retired now. There was a guy who had a prominent presence on some of the, cleaning related bulletin boards before Facebook was a thing. And so he decided, I don't like Howard Partridge, and he liked me. He was actually a client of mine for a little while. So he invited me in for a little bit of the stuff that he did. But he was like saying he wanted to create a free mentorship program and just give it for free for everybody. Well, as soon as he started it, because I knew him, I was like, yeah, he asked me to be part. I said, sure. But I said, mark my words, though, you're not going to do this very long. And how do I know? Because it's a lot of work. And the people that are going to be in it are going to be takers, just like you said. And you're going to end up doing a lot of work for nothing. And anyway, it didn't, 3 or 4 months later, he stopped doing it. And he was like, yeah, John, you're right. So you almost, it is a reciprocal thing. But the other thing too is even if when I was a successful, owned a carpet cleaning company, I didn't have time for somebody to just call me and talk to me. And maybe one person that I was mentoring, but surely not multiple people. You know what I mean? And even that one person, I didn't have time to talk to him for an hour every day or maybe even every week. So it is important. I've always felt like if I was getting somebody's time for free, I had to give them something back,
Yes.
right? Because that time was valuable to me,
It's time.
especially somebody that I appreciated what they were to give me from that.
Yes. Don't you know, one of my students told me one time, he said, Courtney, you know why I never asked for anybody's time for free? I said, why? He said, including you. He said, because that same knowledge you're going to give me for free, I'm going to turn around and charge people for it. I
Yeah,
said, whoa, I'm like, I never thought about it that way. So basically, people want you to give them something for free so they can turn around and capitalize off of it.
right.
And that just made me, I'll say, wow, when your students start telling you that and people, like you said, they appreciate you, it just puts you in a whole different mind frame.
Absolutely.
Yep. So last question, guys, and then we can just do a little freelance talk before we end this. And Steve, what can our students expect from you?
Well, a semi-aging rug sucker that just happened to make a little bit of money in this industry. Okay, you want more.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You guys are a tough crowd. Okay. Um, well, if I can, Courtney, let me just see if I can start out and see if I understand what the three of us, the basic structure. I don't want to rob any of your thunder, but you famously told me when we started brainstorming this, you said, Steve, I can take my students, I can take my clients to the top of the mountain and I can show them the promised land. And you're good at that. You're
Thank
really
you.
good. You're a motivator. Well, what John can do, John can advertise that promised land. He can market it. And I'm terrible at that because, frankly, I don't have the interest or the obsession to stay up with all the algorithms and everything. John, it's all yours. But what I do is I'm going to put them into the promised land and I'm going to make it so it's not a 24/7 obsession. It's where I'm going to give them the freedom to be able to leave their company when they want through what I call business infrastructure. Now, I know some people are all going to freak out and, go, oh, a carpet cleaner. That sounds like a corporate thing. I didn't go into this to become wear a suit. Okay, fair enough. But corporate stuff can teach us some things, and then we can apply it to our business. And what will bring us freedom is we get it all from coming in on us. That's why I call it in the trenches business infrastructure. So, what we're going to be doing is once a month, we're going to explore a different part of business, a different part of a cleaning and restoration business, nothing to do with how to clean the carpet. Frankly, if you guys don't know, if our students, Courtney, don't know how to clean a carpet, they're in the wrong group. Uh, we all know how to clean, how to restore a home. Where we fail is building the systems and infrastructure to be able to have our employees do it consistently, and we're not cloning them to represent us. And that's what I'm going to be doing, I hope, with lots of interaction, some homework, and some accountability. And incidentally, everything I deliver, and I'll be delivering over the course of our mentorship together, hundreds of pages of tested systems and procedures designed for a cleaning or restoration business. And it'll be in Microsoft Word so that everybody can shift it, tweak it, adjust it to fit your business.
Nice. I love it. Love it. Love it. All right, John. What about you? What can we expect from you?
Sure. Getting more business, right? Getting more
Yes.
business, being able to brand yourself well enough to where you can charge the highest prices if you want to. You don't have to. I would recommend it, right? But if you don't brand yourself properly, you can't go to your client and expect the highest prices. So that's a big part of that. And then as well, just getting all the jobs booked that you need, keeping your schedule full. We're going to work a lot on internet marketing, of course, getting your Google My Business profile tweaked to be able to show up at the utmost possibility. If you want to do Google ads, we're going to dive into that. If you want to do, we may even dive into Facebook ads for, we won't get into all of it, but I don't recommend it as much these days, depending on the type of business that you have. But postcard marketing, past client marketing, text marketing, email marketing, all of that we're going to get into. Just in a nutshell, it's keeping your schedule full and being able to have your brand seen high enough to be able to charge the prices that you want to get.
Nice, nice. And also too, I think me and you talked last night. You also want to be giving maybe our option two members some free ebooks, some digital
Absolutely.
books.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got an SEO ebook that I'm going to be giving you guys, and a couple more as time goes by. Just things that are just going to train you down the right path to be able to get all of your internet, all of your marketing in general. Because it's not what I always teach too, is you don't just concentrate, even if you are ranking number one on Google and getting tons of business and all the business you need from Google, don't just stick to that. You have to have a couple of different media to be able to get business coming in. Because one day Google's going to stop working. Mark my words, right?
Yeah.
One day
Yeah.
Google will not work the way that you're thinking that it's going to work. So you need to have other media that's working well for it. So all of that, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, me guys, as you guys know, I am I focus on starting with the mindset first because this is where it all starts. Like Steve said, I can take them to the promised land, but you guys can take them other places. And this is why I'm so glad that we have this team because we all specialize in something, different. But it's just helping people understand who they are. A lot of times if you're lost as a person, if you're lost as a business owner, well, until you can find out your true identity, if you can when you can truly find out what is your true purpose, that's when everything else will follow. And this is something that I have experienced myself, and I've also experienced dealing with so many small entrepreneurs. A lot of them don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. Like I said, they just go out here, they buy a machine, they see someone on YouTube cleaning carpets. I want to clean carpets, but there's nothing else to it. And they wonder why they suffer and they struggle. And man, I tell you, man, you got guys that call me like, Courtney, I don't know who else to talk to. Guys crying because they feel like I'm the outlet. I'm the savior, and I have been. I want to continue to be, but me is helping people change who they are inside. How do you feel about yourself when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror? Who are you? Okay, what are people going to think about you before you even open your mouth? When you do open your mouth, what are people going to think about you? When you pull up in people's driveway and they're peeking out their blinds, looking at your trucks, what are they thinking about you? These are a lot of things that a lot of especially carpet cleaners don't understand. They don't take it serious, and they wonder why they just keep spiraling down and down and down. I had a guy about 5 or 6 years ago share a story with you. I was at customer appreciation day at Truck Mount Cleaning Solution, and this guy comes up to me and he said, Courtney, man, I be watching you on YouTube and everything you be saying is 100% spot on. But he said, Courtney, those cleaners you're always talking about? I'm that one of that guy. He said, I'm one of those guys. And he said, Courtney, I have been doing this for over 20 years and I'm so afraid. And he said, I hate to say it, man, but I can't start over. And I felt so bad because he felt like mentally he had dug himself in a hole for 20 years. He couldn't start over, which he could. And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part that a lot of them cannot overcome is believing that they can give themselves a second chance. But it's something about the reality that's holding them, but they're just not mentally strong. Uh, I want to share a customer, not a customer, a student's testimonial. When I was coming up with this whole idea, I put on Cleaners Connect. I'm saying I'm looking for 5 students that I want to coach for the next month. And what we did weekly sessions. And when I tell you guys, when I do these type of coachings, it's like I told you, I said, listen, don't be afraid to get your feelings hurt. I'm going to say some things that you might not want to hear, but I'm going to say the things that you need to hear. Because if you reached out to me for help, let me help you. Well, I did a coaching for 5 students, and this is just to help me in my journey. And one of those students was Stephanie Lane, and we did a weekly session, and then we would come back and talk about how that session improved them, and then just like Steve, we would move to the next session, and we did that up to 6 weeks. Well, after the 6 weeks was up, I got so much great feedback from all those members, except one. One actually ended up getting sick and had to go to the hospital. Well, Stephanie Lane, she wrote me, this was November the 5th. She said, that was a wrap on Courtney's lead coaching group. Thank you, Courtney, for your leadership, hosting these meetings, giving us prompts to improve ourselves, and for choosing me. This course for me was very valuable in many ways. Oftentimes, as business owners, we are surrounded by problems, doubt, self-criticism, and many other negative emotions, situations. And this group has allowed me to refocus and get away from that nonsense. I love being a part of the group because there was a community weekly prompts that was really allowed for self-reflection and a plan to grow, mental reset, and a supportive group where we each understood the struggle and the success of being a business owner. There were also secondary benefits like group inspired me to join CrossFit again, start cooking better meals. She gave a shout out to Corey Chesler, who was one of my students. I'm still cheating though, home chef for the win, but the meals look good. She said, thank you all for your shares, your journey, and your contribute of this month. I look forward to seeing your success and continued growth. She said, my biggest takeaways, your mindset will take you where you want to go, good or bad. Number two is what I teach people to practice: gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. That's what she put as number two. And she said, number three, you have to put in the work to see the results, and it all starts with you. So, guys, this is just just understanding. Oh, and then she said, going through this challenge, I manifested because I'm a big believer in teaching people how to manifest. She said, going through this challenge, I manifested more clients than I can handle and more revenue year to date so far. I set out to average $700 a day, and since I envisioned that, my average are hitting that. Woohoo! Thanks again, Courtney, in the group.
Preach it, Courtney. Preach it.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go.
So that's what's all about, man. Just getting people to understand who they are, because sometimes, most of the time, we are our own roadblock. And once we learn how to remove ourselves out of our own ways, as we look around this world, anything is possible.
Well, let's see just what we can do, Courtney.
Yes, sir. Let's see what we can do. Well, guys, anything you else want to add before I end this video? I am going to use this video on the website because, like I told you guys in the beginning, this is real. I don't like scripted stuff. People coming in here with cameras and digital AI backgrounds. I want people to see that we are real people. We we love what we do. Okay. And we used to be just like a lot of them. So something that I wrote down is like, whoever, it's three people that this group is for. Those, let's just say, new business owners that want to start off on the right track, or those business owners like all three of us was once upon a time need to be put on the right track, or the ones that just want to stay on the right track. So this is going to be a great opportunity for any three of those types of individuals.
Definitely. The one thing that I would like to add about coaching programs in general that I've learned from me and definitely from my students, right, and people that I've mentored, being part of a coaching program is important, but doing the homework and actually doing the stuff. So my most frustrating part sometimes is I'll literally meet with guys like every month or whatever, guys, gals. Did you do what you're supposed to do last month? Well, no. Well, how are you going to expect to get where you need to go if you're not doing half of what I asked you to do? So don't just become part of the coaching program. I mean, obviously we love that you're part of the so I get it. You kind of want to come in and learn, but if you really want to do something and move to something better, you got to do the homework. You got to apply the stuff. You got to implement.
And that's what Steve was saying, is accountability. And that's one of the biggest things about
Right.
a good coaching system or a good coach in general. And like Stephanie said on this review, I gave them assignments, and they had to tell me what they learned from those assignments. So I'm actually going to have my own mindset workbook that we're going to go through every other week. And like Steve said, he's going to have his homework. So guys, this is just not, oh, we're just going to get up here. Like Steve used to tell me, Courtney, you're Jesus speaking. That's good. But when you're helping people and you're trying to get people to be better of themselves, eventually the motivational speaks only can take them so far.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree, Courtney. You know, and we all fall into this. One of my favorite of many favorite sayings is there's the important and there's the urgent, and they're seldom the same. And so many people in this industry, and I've been there, I've lived it. Like I say, my name of my course in this group will be In the Trenches.
In the
I've
trenches.
been there and urgent. It's important to quote unquote, like you say, implement. John says, do it. That's important. But then there's the urgent. The truck mount's broken down, or the employee quits without notice, or my gosh, you've got 3 crews waiting and every job canceled for today. So how do you keep them busy? Or you have to just make payroll. So all that urgent is on you. And then you hit overload, and all you want to do is sit in front of the TV at night with a cold adult beverage. Been there, done that. And
Yes.
that's why we're going to need to have accountability with this group. It's going to be intense, but my gosh, you're going to emerge as a true business that will run with you or without you.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, that's a wrap. And man, this was amazing. Just the way I planned it, just the way I envisioned it. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready for this next, what I call a orientation, which I'm going to be doing once a month for business owners that continue to find us and want some information. I'm going to do a monthly orientation for those. So I'm actually about to do the next one in about an hour. But Mr. Tobrin, John Braun, thank you guys so much. John, I'll actually be seeing you in at Capaloosa because I want to be a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
So we actually hung out at the experience, had a lot of great time, and me and John actually saw each other a lot last year.
Okay.
We was in the Omaha classes
Couple
twice.
times. Yeah.
And John actually gave me, and thank you, John, again. He actually gave me a lot of good pointers about speaking because a lot of my opportunities now have been speaking. So I'm going to be a keynote speaker opening it up for the Capaloosa. So actually, right now, I'm actually taking a speaking course of how to become a better speaker.
Sweet. Good,
Yes,
good, good.
Nice.
yes, sir.
Nice, really good. Well, and I'm sorry, guys, I won't see you in Vegas. There's a couple things that I love in-person teaching. I really do. Um, love my students, but I developed an intense hatred for 2 things. One was over the 25, 30 years that I did it. One was living in a motel. I hate hotels. Hate, hate, hate. It doesn't matter how expensive they are. I always get next door to somebody doing calisthenics all night in bed and somebody up above me taking a bowling ball and dropping it on the floor. So that was one. My other true passionate hatred was
You told
Las
me
Vegas.
Vegas.
So I'm sorry, guys. Uh,
Uh,
more
It
power
was
to
funny when you
you.
told me that. I said, Steve said, I hate Vegas, Courtney. I would never see you in Vegas.
And some people love it, but I hate it. I hate the lifestyle. I hate the people that are live there. I hate the stale cigarette smoke. I hate the casino. Anyway,
yeah.
we don't have enough time. You need to get ready. So now, Courtney, did you want me to pop in here at on your orientation thing?
You
What
guys
7
can, but it's
o'clock?
not necessary because what I'm going to do with this video is go ahead and just put it on YouTube later tonight, so I can just tell them just to see, get a better feeling for us three. They can just go to YouTube and just watch this video, so you guys don't have to pop in.
Okay. I might not. I'm now remember, guys, I'm going to be leaving for Arizona tomorrow morning. I'm going to be off-road camping, of course, in down a little area called Quartzsite, down by Yuma, and of course, in time-honored Steve Toburin tradition. Remember, this is a desert where it never rains, and it's supposed to dump on us starting Monday and Tuesday in the desert. I mean,
Wow.
what
Fun.
are the odds? Uh,
Wow.
but anyway, we're going to have fun, but my internet will be limited. So
Okay.
until I come back a week from tomorrow, I'll get back to you, but don't expect boom, boom, rapid service, okay?
Gotcha.
But
I just wanted to say it's a privilege to work with both of you gentlemen. I'm honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
oh
welcome.
shucks. Well, let's see where it goes. It could be a good thing as long as all of us feel like we have clearly defined expectations. Um, I can't guarantee to never go into the mountaintop area, Courtney, and I can't guarantee to never go into the marketing area because they're all kind of
Sure.
interrelated.
Right.
Trust me, I have no desire to take over on you guys' area.
And same here.
Right.
This is why. This is why when my students or anybody who reaches out for me for marketing, what do I send them? I send them straight to John Brun. He actually John Brun does my marketing for me.
Yeah, on our website.